Hello, everyone, and welcome to Organic Matters podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. You can hear birds singing and maybe the hum of a machine in the background, and we're going to get to that because we're on the farm today of Tom Stack. He's here in Ballygran in County Limerick, and there's just beautiful, verdant, luscious fields around us. Tom has been organic farming for a while now, but Tom, you weren't always organic farming. But so just give us some stats. What's the land size? What's the herd size to give people a picture first?
The land size I have, I own 80 and I rent 50. It's 130 acres on the farming or the milking block. There's 100. I'll be milking maybe 70 cows this year. I was hoping a bit more, but that's not going to happen. 70 cows this year and running replacements maybe 20 and 20. I am grass fed, and I use natural farming to I suppose tend to the microbial life of the soil.
Yeah, and I know you're kind of slow to get going because when we hit this thing about natural farming and Korean natural farming that you have really pioneered in Ireland. I know we're going to get into it, but all the milk, it's 100% grass fed. So that means a zero meal.
Absolutely.
And it's going to Glenisk at the minute, and it's spring calving as well.
Yeah, so we're grass fed. It goes to Glenisk. We get a premium price of 60 cent a litre at the moment. The contract is up and we're going again, hopefully. It's I believe that with you tending your soil, I'm producing a way more nutritious grass, so my animals don't need anything. Basically, a cow's a fermenting pot. When whatever goes in and whatever comes out is healthy and beautiful for the soil.
And if we look around here, I love it, and I mean this with sincere fondness, and it's a bit like a mad scientist's workroom when I look around here, and there's glass jars and there's things fermenting in them, and they're 5-litre glass jars. It's like a little treasure trove, it's like you'd imagine as a kid. But you were a conventional farmer, so when did the move? And you were quite an intense conventional farmer.
I wouldn't say intense, but I was following the that production scheme of expand, and my dad always taught me, he said, mind what you have and respect it, and I know that now, but I was at about 50 cows, and the out people were telling me that I wouldn't be viable. I had to go to 100, and I said, Jesus, there must be another way, through education and a lot of hard work, I just basically turned everything upside down, walked it off a cliff, and I believe that we have to be sustainable farming, but we have to be self-sufficient from now on as farmers in whatever we are as farmers, and our best resource is our soil, and that's what we have to get across to every farmer out there, as organic or whatever they are. The soil is the key. The soil has the power. And our friends, as I call them, my microbes or my fungi, that helps. 2012 I took over this farm, took it off my dad, just when gun ho really, and then at 18, I remember the drought in 18, if you can remember. It broke my heart. I was, spraying the chemical at night time and following with watery slurried in, and I wasn't seeing my family, just madness, and you cannot beat nature, and that's what I learnt. And a lot of people that know, I'm not going to name, but there's a lot of people out there that helped me along my way, I just walked it off a cliff. I said, I'm going organic. I started, Dan Kittredge helped me, I have to name him, and Chris Trump. Just taught me little ways of helping your soil. So in natural farming, I basically started out with soil from the ditches of Ireland. Basically I've learned now that we have to look at fungi to bacteria domination in our soils, and the way we get fungi back into our soils is by going to untouched places in our beautiful country of Ireland, and like Clarny National Park, Tory Hill and Croom, as you know, and do make collections and bring back the fungi. And in natural farming or Korean natural farming, we use rice, and rice is the auger to bring the mycelium out of the ground. And with that then, and there are the jars.
So just to give people an idea, because I know we're both I'm a little bit familiar with this, thanks to you. So what you do is you have a small box, and there's rice inside, and you take that to a place in kind of a natural woodland setting that's been untouched by chemicals or pesticides or anything like that. And what that does is you allow then the fungi to grow
into the box,
into the box, and then you can bring that home and kind of harvest it. Is that it?
So what we're going to show is, you're in my lab actually. This is a like farmers are scientists themselves, because science is the study of nature through observation and experimentation. That is a farmer. You're in my lab. You can see all my jars. These are all collections from summer, spring, winter, since 18. Actually, one of them is your farm, Tory Hill. But basically, all you're doing is bringing back different microbes from different climates. And the higher you find your microbe, the better. Like, you bring it back down to your farm, he works tenfold. And people may listen, what's he on about microbes? Microbes are things that I can't see, but you can only see them under a microscope. But basically what we do is bring back the rice, and then you have to give it shelf life, so you mix it with brown sugar, right? And when you have that rice, it takes 5 days in the ground. But to get the IMO1 collection, you have to find the mycelium in the woodland or the grassland first, get that mycelium and put the rice box on it. Then you bring that home after 5 days, and what happens is the rice is like, it's like crumbled bread rice, and you bring that back, and to give it shelf life for 15 to 20 years of power, you mix it with brown sugar, and brown sugar makes them go back to sleep. So you're collecting them as babies, I will say it in layman's terms, babies, and they go back to sleep, and you have shelf life for 15 years of every microbe you can collect. I do maybe 8 to 10 collections a year, and then at IMO2 you've shelf life. IMO3 then is basically, I'm going to show you, is give them a place to live and something to eat. And you wake them back up in a bucket of water, and basically I can inoculate my farm with 2 wheelbarrows of IMO3. And I've learnt over the time that what you do is you have to mix your soil with that, with the, the thousands of years biology, and they party together in IMO4. I know I'm kind of jumping a small bit.
There's different stages as what you're saying. So it starts with that box of rice, and then it builds onto different stages, and you activate it as you need it.
Yes, but they multiply and they multiply and they multiply. But I learnt in maybe 20 that IMO4 was the key to conventional farming, organic farming. Basically what you're doing is you're mixing 1,000 years of biology that have grown out on a substrate like rolled oats and wood chip. So what I say is rolled oats is their food, wood chip is the place they live, and basically that's IMO3, and at IMO4 is the key to natural farming. I would say for all of us in Ireland is that you mix your soil. So if you have 2 wheelbarrows of a compost, you mix 2 wheelbarrows of your soil and let them party for another week. And basically you make a little compost heap, and at that they die off, and basically maybe 2 kgs does 9 acres of your ground, but you have to aerate it. And Chris was the guy that brought it from a wheelbarrow farming background to a conventional place where we use liquid IMO now, but it's a liquid form of the IMO4 that we make.
So is it essentially, say, okay, I'm going to really break down into layman's terms, because when you talk about liquid form, and I have seen what you do with a boom sprayer, and you create this like liquid fertilizer, and then you can spread it on your land. But to make it kind of simple for someone, if you have a tomato plant, you might buy some, say, tomato seaweed solution, and you pour a tiny bit of that into your watering can, and then you spread it onto the plants that need that extra kick, say. So essentially you're doing that, but you're doing it on a field basis. Okay.
130 acres. So basically we make all our inputs. So that's the indigenous microorganisms that we do. There's 5 steps. Horticulture would bring it to IMO5. You can all research that. But basically then we make our own calcium. We make our own calcium for soil, and we follow the growth cycle of any plant that we need. So we only grow grass as dairy farmers. We don't need it because the microbe does all the work. Once you put in the microbe into the soil, he does all the mineralization, and the fungi are the mineral highways of the nutrient world of the soil. And once you establish that, it takes about 3 years, and now I'm only maintenance spraying. I'm only just feeding them. But with natural farming, The dairy farmer has another input, and that's his slurry. It is like, we can put liquid IMOs, we can put fermented seawaters, we can put seaweed FPJs, you know, and basically what you're doing is you're making rocket fuel in your tanks before you spread it on the land.
And I guess people are familiar with this because, you know, there are lots of sales of microbes and things now, and people can, you know, can see that, and can buy that even. But essentially what you're doing is you're telling farmers, well, you can buy your own and create your own nutrients. So because a lot of conversations are about very basic inputs, NPK, and we learned that in agricultural college, and then we learn it further up and say there's been lots of talk about reseeding and, you know, what kind of NPK you'd spread on that, and what's your slurry value and things like that. But I'm looking at some of the jars here, and I can see eggshells, and I can see different things. So you're making all of your own inputs.
Make them all yourself. So nitrogen is an amino acid. It's fish amino acid. Calcium phosphate we make it out of biochar bone, and we use an apple cider vinegar to extract phosphate from it. It's like chemistry as well. When I started this, I hadn't a clue what I was doing, but I had to be taught. So education is very, very important in what we're doing. I believe that, you know, sustainability, we have to be self-sufficient as farmers as well. And I believe that I'm growing a more nutritious grass now. End of story. Reseeding, whatever you want to do, but you have to fix your soil. Your soil is the key to be sustainable and self-sufficient for whatever's coming down the track. And
chemical fertilizer is a finite resource as well. We can't forget that.
No, we can't, but I don't like talking about it because I would go down the road. We have to go biological farming. You know, the cost of it and everything like that, you know, that's, look, I suppose everyone to their own. But help is there, you know, and that's the key for farmers. And look, I was very, very sceptical at the start. I was thinking, what is this like? I remember Chris kneeling in front of me and he looking at my soil in a microscope in America, and he turned around to me and he said, this is a fact, he said, 3 years, Tom, you'll probably never have to touch your soil again. And I can see it now, Hannah. I thought he was mad. Yeah. I thought this was a fairy tale story. It's not, because, and another thing with dairy farming and every farming that we have here, we make our own inputs for our animals as well. Like, so I give my animals calcium phosphate in their water before calving, and I give them calcium after calving. This is, look, I would say a revolution in farming. Maybe self-praise is no praise, my dad would always say, but you know, it's just to help the farmer to get over the line and be viable. Like in natural farming, we believe a farm is only viable after 3 generations. So I'm probably the second. I don't know what the girls are going to do with the farm, but I'm going to leave it to them in a better place. And it's I think in organic dairy farming and in inorganic, we have to push what we do as farmers in this country, because we're on our own, but our products that we produce, our milk, our raw milk, our cheese, it's amazing, but it's all probably, the public don't know about it. We have to advertise it a lot more, because there's not many of us here. No. And I wish to God there was a lot more, but it's education, I think. Anyway, I'm
going to ask you some boring questions, in a sense, because there'll be some people listening to this being like, yeah, but how much grass does he actually grow, and what kind of yield are his cows actually doing? I mean, do you have any ballpark figure at home? Say our cows at the minute, we have a small enough herd of dairy cows, and they're 100% grass. We'd be of the similar philosophy on that, low stocking rate, and I think they're doing about, I'd like to say 14.9 litres, and I'm happy enough with that. I'm in a discussion group and I can see other people getting 19, 20 litres, but they're feeding meal, and I don't want to feed meal, especially organic meal. I don't want to feed it, and we're once a day as well. So I mean, would you have an idea? We'll let that car go by, and we'll talk about busyness.
So I look at it a totally different way. My cow will last 15, 20 years in this system. I am producing maybe around 16, the same as yourself. At the moment I'm at 20, because I'm feeding a lot of calves at the moment, and I can judge it by how many cows are going through the parlour. So 20 litres a day, and it's grass fed, and it's what grass. I look at it totally different. I can give my cows less now because they're more.
But that's like for people who aren't organic dairy farmers. Like I'm in a discussion group and I'm the only organic farmer, and there's conventional farmers feeding meal and they're getting 20 a day. Yeah. So you're organic. I know you're milking twice a day, yes. But that's really good going.
Absolutely. The other thing I want to say to you is two lads came with and.
Fat, protein, other thing.
Haven't a clue, Hannah.
Come on, Glynis must text you, or they must tell you.
It's for something. Do you know what I mean? I remember transition from organic or conventional to. I was ringing and going, "What's the story? What's the story? Yeah. Can you tell me my spelling?" You know, they no, Tom, just produce your liters, like, you know, and but I honestly don't know. I know for a fact my milk is very good. Yeah. You know, I have people here that come and take it, you know, and all they say to me is that it reminds them of their childhood. Yeah. And that's the key, like, you know, it's nutritious. Food, another thing with natural farming, we want
grass. We'll get back and grass. Are you out walking, measuring grass anymore?
I don't have to. Okay. You'll walk it now in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And
I've walked it before, I know, but I have to ask the question.
Absolutely.
There are people listening who haven't walked it.
Yes, of course I walk it, and I kind of get it that. I've a way more feed now. I'm producing a lot more, and that's up for maybe 80 to 90 bales more on the same land from last year. Grass, they need less because it's more nutritious. You know that test, the squidgy test as I call it, there's two lads from Offaly came down here visiting me, and he had, what's it called? You know, you squeeze the grass and you look at it. But they got 12.5, 13. Right, and I was looking on what's that mean, and he said usually it's 4 to 6, and I was looking. I don't really care. Our cows have to be happy, and we'll walk into them there now, and you know they're satisfied, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll stroll in. We'll just have a quick look. So we're walking through. We had a quick look at the cows. They're shining, but we've come to another area now, and once again there is luscious grass, and I just told Tom that I'd eat it. It looks so good. But we're coming up to a little hut here. What do we have here, Tom?
So this is, I'm trying to show you the quantity you need for 130 acres. So this is IMO 3. Okay. It's at a temperature of 40 degrees now with the rolled oats and the wood chip. So they're partying at the moment, and they'll be partying for another 3 days. You have to keep it under 50 degrees because if it goes above 50 degrees, you lose a lot of beneficial microbes.
Because it starts becoming pasteurized.
Yes. No,
is it? No?
It's killing the ones we really need. Okay. And basically this will take another 3 days, and after this I will mix weight per weight with soil from my farm with this, and let them party again.
There's only, I'd say, maybe 5 wheelbarrows of stuff in here, so that's all you need for 130 acres.
130 acres, and I'm after getting 12 acres. So what I want to do is I want to help the cereal farmer, the dairy farmer. So I'm doing trials in another place next year. And
what do you do with this then? Is this what you mix with water in your boom sprayer, or what do you do?
So basically you get 2 kgs of the finished IMO solid into an aeration, like a sock or a tea bag. Aerate that for 36 hours. There's different inputs you put in at different times of the year as you're following the growth cycle of the plant. And basically after 36 hours it has brewed out, and you spread out in your land.
And you mentioned, and we did pass as well, a slurry tank. So you spread your own slurry. So is slurry key to all of this as well?
No. What I've learned in the last 2 years doing this and treating my own slurry. So you have to watch what goes into your slurry. Number one, no chemical, no dewormers or anything like that.
What about dairy washings? Where do your dairy washings go?
So I'm chlorine free. Okay. But I use an acid called phosphoric acid, and it's inert. And basically I'm treating my slurry with liquid IMOs and fermented seawaters. Basically what I'm brewing in the tank I put into my slurry tank.
So no detergents, nothing like that?
No, watch out for hoof, because you're killing, like, our slurries are the key to get out of this, and not put it all out in one, because you're killing all the anyway, not going on down that road.
But you kill all the worms as well. Absolutely. Like sometimes I pass a slurry field and it's black with slurry, and when you see birds like it coming down in flocks after slurry's been spread, something's been done very wrong. And I remember listening to an inspector in the Department of Agriculture saying, lads, you do realise that we can see those flocks of birds from the road, and we know that you've overspread, and we will be coming to inspect you. So look, that's a whole thing, but you don't want to be killing the worms. Worms are key to releasing phosphorus in your soil. They're key to so much.
They are like I've a friend of mine, he says, be a lazy farmer, let the microbes and the worms do the work for you. And basically the worm goes up and down, and basically with that tank, that's another day's work. With the bed that's there, it's going to be a no smell dairy bed. There was 96 loads of BK, the BK spreaders of there was a lot in it, I won't go through it, but it was all gone out on 14 acres. And the lad that was driving the tractor, he says, Tom, there's a duck chance that's going to be gone. Like, I brought him back 4 weeks later and we walked the field. It was gone because the biology that's in the soil devoured a whole lot of it, but going back to grass and whatever, it's the nutrition. Mind your slurry. I run around the field now because I'm basically just feeding my microbes and the worms. Anyone can do this, Hannah. You've seen my grass, you've seen my animals.
But grass tetany cases,
no,
milk fever cases, you've none?
None, because basically what's happening is the microbe is breaking down what they need out of whatever's in the soil. Because
it's a lack of nutrients, it's a lack of calcium, or there's other issues as well.
Absolutely, but you see, I was very, very frightened at the start because I stopped doing everything, and so then I learned that in natural farming, in green natural farming, we can use our inputs that we make, like the calcium and the calcium phosphate, to do this. I even see now my cows eat, like this girl that calved there last night. Where she calved, she cleaned all the ducts. They're not stupid, but what I believe that the ducts has changed its texture or nutrition and mineral to be available to the cow, and it's all about our soil. It's
because ducks, in a way, I know people have a love-hate relationship with them, but they're very deep-rooting. Like, everyone knows, we've all been out as kids having to pick ducks, but there must be something good in them if you couldn't convert that somehow.
Exactly. So basically, anything that's left in my paddock after the cows go, I make an FPJ as a fruit plant juice, and usually they could be docks or whatever there, and I'd take them and I'd ferment them for 7 days. It's another input. What it is a highly high-rich enzyme product to feed your soil. I don't call them weeds, they're my friends. They tell you what's wrong, really, down there. Everything. I'd rather a mixed salad than a salad. Yeah. So that's really it. I just want to help farmers, basically. Yeah.
And say, people will be talking now about the breeding season. I saw a lovely, very handsome Ayrshire bull out there. Yeah. Do you do anything for breeding? Do you give them a mineral bolus, anything like that? None. You don't have any fertility issues?
None. I leave nature. Once you treat nature with respect, it pays you back tenfold, Hannah. And I've been there from 18 to now, and just let it be done. We have to stop killing stuff and let nature. Once you attend, and I suppose that sounds mad, but once you attend and observe nature, and treat it with respect, that's all, and that's it. And at the end of the day, as farmers, we have to make money as well, there's ways and means of doing this through a conventional way, so wean off one thing. I love the concept of people out there that are selling a bug in a jug, to get farmers thinking, oh, there's another way, really, isn't there? And that's it. But the fungi are the key. Once you get the mycelium into your ground, that mineral nutrient highway in your ground, you're laughing.
And you have a course coming up as well, if people are interested in it.
I hate selling things, but
I know. Well, I'm selling it for you. Don't worry.
Chris is coming with some.
This is Chris Trump, who is really one of the international figures in terms of Korean natural farming.
Yeah. We're doing a course on the end of June. It's on nuts. Chris is coming with 4 or 5 amazing soil smiths this year. We did one last year and we had 60 farmers. I believe that if anyone is thinking any way outside the box, I would get there. It will be held on my farm and in Croom. The classes is on Croom in the rectory, and we will show them a bloom, which I was hoping for you to see here today, but It didn't happen, but if you came tomorrow, which I don't think you will.
But hey, won't that give something to come for it?
Yeah.
There's going to be a bloom at this, lads.
And
Yeah.
once people see the mycelium bloom on what's in front of them, like that little compost heap that's here, you're hooked.
Yeah.
You are hooked, like, because you realise then whatever switches in a human, we're related to nature as well, like, you know. And basically in natural farming, we want to put medicine on the shelf as good food. And I hope that God, from now on, we're pushed more in the organics side of, you know, the shop in different stores.
Yeah.
You know, as farmers, we have to be viable as well. But you know, we really look after the planet. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So for anyone interested, NOTS is the National Organic Training Skills Net. So I'm doing a bit more selling here for Tom, but do check it out if you are interested. And there's one more thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can look me up on knfdairy.com.
And there's Instagram as well.
There is Instagram. I'm not that great though.
No, you're not bad.
I'm nearly
You're getting
catching
there.
up to you, Hannah.
I don't think so. But anyway, if anyone's interested, definitely there are places to go for more information. But for now, you've been listening to Organic Matters, the podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. And if you want to hear more information about organics, you can go to their website, which is www.irishorganicassociation.ie. But from me and from Tom here, that's it for this week.